Somewhere under a hill of garbage in Newport, Wales, there is a hard drive worth $800 million. The man who owns it knows almost exactly where it is. He has the money to dig it up. He has investors. He has engineers, environmental consultants, a recovery plan years in the making. And for more than a decade, he has been told the same thing. No. Here is the part that makes this story almost unbearable. The money is still there, not hidden, not stolen, not gone. You can watch it right now. The coins sit in a wallet on the public blockchain, 8,000 Bitcoin, and they have not moved a single time since 2013. The balance climbs with the market in plain sight for anyone to see. He just can't reach it. This is the story of the most expensive mistake in the history of the trash, and the question of whether anyone will ever be allowed to fix it. James Howells was an IT worker from Newport on the south coast of Wales. In 2009, he was one of a very small number of people on Earth who had even heard of Bitcoin. Back then, you didn't buy it. You made it. You ran software on an ordinary computer, and in exchange for lending the network your processing power, it paid you in coins. There was no price, really. No exchanges that mattered. The coins were worth essentially nothing, a curiosity for programmers and hobbyists. Howells mined his on a laptop, almost as an experiment, and ended up with around 8,000 of them. Then he stopped. The laptop was getting hot, the fan was loud, and there was no obvious reason to keep going. Coins worth nothing are easy to forget, but Howells did one thing first. He took out the laptop's hard drive, the small physical disk where the private keys were stored, and he put it in a drawer. This is the detail the whole story turns on. The keys to those 8,000 coins existed in exactly one place. That drive. No backup, no copy, no 12 words written on paper in a safe. If the drive was gone, the coins were gone. Not destroyed, but locked forever behind a password no one could ever reproduce. In 2013, during a clear-out, the drive was thrown away. It went into a bin, then into a collection, then to the Docksway landfill on the edge of Newport, buried under what would eventually become more than 1 million tons of household waste. By the time Howells realized which drive it was already gone, already underground, already in practical terms, unrecoverable. And here is where the cruelty of the timing begins. Because in 2013, Bitcoin started to climb, and it kept climbing. Every year, the buried drive in the landfill was worth more than the year before. A few $1,000s became a few million. A few million became tens of millions. By 2021, at the peak of the market, the coins on that single discarded drive were worth roughly $800 million. A fortune that grew in public on a screen anyone could open, sitting under a hill he wasn't allowed to touch. Most people faced with this would give up. Howells did the opposite. He turned the recovery of one hard drive into a full-scale engineering project. He didn't just ask the council if he could go digging with a shovel. He understood that a modern landfill is a regulated, hazardous, carefully layered environment, and he built a plan to match. He assembled a team, landfill data specialists, to narrow down where the 2013 waste was likely buried. Environmental experts to manage the contamination risk. He proposed using artificial intelligence to sort through the excavated material, and robotic units, the kind of four-legged robots you've seen demonstrated by Boston Dynamics, to search the site safely, and he found money. Investors and a hedge fund prepared to bankroll the entire operation, millions of pounds, in exchange for a share of whatever came out of the ground. He even offered the council a cut, a percentage of the recovered fortune, a community fund for the people of Newport. The answer was still no. And this is the part of the story where it would be easy to make the council the villain. They're not. Their reasons are real, and under the law, they are correct. First, the environmental permit. The landfill operates under a strict license. Digging into it risks releasing pollutants into the ground, into the water, into the air around a working site. Second, the cost and the disruption of excavating a live landfill with no guarantee that a hard drive, after years underground, would even be readable. And third, Matty, the one that would eventually decide everything, ownership. The council's position was simple. Once something is deposited at the landfill, It belongs to the landfill. The drive wasn't his anymore. So this became the shape of the story. Not a man against a thief, a man against a system that had every right to say no, and kept saying it. He had the location, he had the plan, he had the money and the backers and the engineers, and he could not get permission to dig. After more than 10 years of letters, meetings, and refusals, Howells did the only thing he had left. He took Newport City Council to court. He asked a judge either to order the council to let him search the site or to pay him the value of what was buried there. In January 2025, the court gave its answer. His Honor Judge Kaiser, sitting as a deputy high court judge, dismissed the claim. He found it had, in the court's words, no realistic prospect of success. The case would not even go to a full trial. The reasoning was the wall Howells had been hitting for a decade, now written into law. Under the Control of Pollution Act of 1974, the judge found anything deposited at the landfill became the property of the council at the moment it was deposited. Legally, the drive had stopped being Howells' property in 2013, the day it was thrown away. And there was a second problem. Too much time had passed. The window the law gives you to bring a claim like this had long since closed. Read it plainly, and it is devastating. The court did not say the coins weren't real. It did not say the drive wasn't there. It said that even if everything Howells claimed was true, the law would not help him, because the drive was no longer his, and he had waited too long to ask. Howells said he would take it to the Supreme Court, but the wall was no longer just a council saying no. Now it was the law itself, and then the ground itself began to move against him. In 2025, Newport announced that the Docksway landfill was reaching the end of its life. The site was scheduled to close, and the plan for the land afterward was to cap it and build a solar farm on top. Think about what that means. If the site is sealed and covered in solar infrastructure, the drive isn't just hard to reach. It's entombed under a new layer of permanent construction, possibly forever. Howells, running out of conventional options, started reaching for unconventional ones. He floated buying the landfill outright. Funding secured, he wrote, offering to purchase the entire site rather than ask permission to enter it. And when that went nowhere, he pivoted again to the one asset he still had, the story itself. He announced plans to tokenize his legal claim to the coins, to launch a new digital token tied to the lost Bitcoin, turning a decade of obsession into something he could finally sell. But step back from all of it. The robots, the hedge fund, the lawsuit, the token, and the hardest truth is the one nobody can argue with. Even if Howells got everything he wanted, the permission, the access, the full excavation, the odds are against him. A small hard drive after more than a decade crushed under 1 million tons of waste, exposed to moisture and weight and time, may simply not survive. The platter that holds the keys might already be unreadable. The experts disagree on the chances. No one can promise the fortune is still recoverable at all, so it sits there. On the blockchain, the 8,000 coins are permanent, public, and perfectly intact. A number anyone can look up. In the physical world, they are a rumor under a hill, possibly already rotted into nothing. Should they let him dig? Drop your verdict in the comments, and if you hold any crypto right now, ask yourself where your keys actually live and what happens if that one place is gone. The hardware wallet link is in the description. Next week, a programmer with $200 million locked behind a password, and only 2 guesses left before it's gone forever. Subscribe so you don't miss it.